Yes, Your Honor. We are on the record.
Great. I call case 23W0235, proceeding on motion of the Commission as to the rates, charges, rules, and regulations of Liberty Utilities, New York Water Corp. For water service. As I said, my name is Tara Kersey. I'm an administrative law judge for the Department of Public Service. With me today is Chief Administrative Law Judge Dakin Leecakes. Together, we are responsible for presiding over the hearings in this case and developing a complete record throughout the proceeding. We are also joined by Jill Wasser and Xenia Vega from the Department's Office of Consumer Services, who will be providing technical assistance. We are here today for a public statement hearing that was noticed on August 23rd, 2023. The hearing concerns proposed changes in the water delivery rates and practices of Liberty Utilities New York Water Corp., or we'll refer to it as the company. The company filed amendments to their water tariff schedules on May 4th, 2023, proposing to increase their revenues by $39,745,567, or 34.24%, on a consolidated basis across its two service areas, Service Area 1 and Service Area 2, for the 12 months ending March 31st, 2025. This includes the consolidation of the rates of the company's Seacliff and Whitlock service areas with the rates for Service Area 1, with a corresponding elimination of the incremental property tax surcharge that Seacliff service area customers currently pay. The proposed rates will increase the average residential monthly water bill by approximately $18.32 for current Service Area 1 customers, $15.74 for Merrick customers, and $7.37 for Seacliff customers. Under New York state law, the Public Service Commission must consider a utility's proposal and may adopt or reject it in whole or in part or modify it. We are holding this hearing so you can provide your comments on these proposals for the Commission's consideration. The Public Service Commission will decide what the company's terms and conditions of service will be. The Public Service Commission has 7 members, the chairperson, Rory Christian, and 6 commissioners. The 6 commissioners are Diane Berman, James Alisi, Tracy Edwards, John Howard, David Valesky, and John Maggiore. This hearing is to provide the company's customers and other interested persons with an opportunity to tell the Commission your thoughts on the company's rate proposals. All statements you make today will become part of the case record. We have a court reporter joining us who will prepare a transcript of the hearing, which will be included in the official record of this proceeding, so that your comments can be considered by the members of the Commission. When it is ready, the transcript will be available for view on the Department of Public Service website. This hearing is not a question and answer session, but a forum for the commissioners to hear your comments. Please note that this is not the only opportunity for comments. If you are not speaking today, but you would like to provide comments, you can do so by submitting comments on the department's website, by email, regular mail, or by phone. Regardless of how the comments are submitted, they will be given equal consideration. Comments may be submitted and will be considered throughout the pendency of this proceeding. If you have registered to make a statement, we ask that you please summarize lengthy written statements orally and submit the full written statement by email or mail. There are people who are registered and are participating electronically, and there are people who registered and are participating by phone. In either case, you should only have audio input from one device. You may experience problems with feedback otherwise. I will call the persons that have pre-registered one by one to speak. If someone is not available when I call them, I will continue with the next person, and I will come back to those people who were not available at the end. For telephone participants, When I call out your name, I will ask you to hit *3 on your phone so that we can recognize you and unmute your line. It may take a little while for us to locate you and unmute your line, so please make sure to wait until you hear a beep or are notified that your line has been unmuted before you speak. If you've muted your own telephone, you also will have to unmute your line on your end. For the people that registered electronically, after I call your name, we will unmute your line. You should hear a tone and see that the microphone icon is no longer red. Please be reminded that if you put your own telephone line on mute, you will also have to unmute your line before you begin to speak. Please speak slowly and clearly so that the court reporter can accurately capture your statement for the record. When your line is unmuted, please state your name, and if you are speaking on behalf of an organization, the name of the organization. Once we confirm that we can hear you, you can proceed to make your comments. Our first speaker is Patricia Mayer.
Ms. Mayer, if you, good evening. Is this Patricia Mayer?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. My name is Patricia Mayer, and I live in Baldwin, New York. First of all, I want to thank you for having the evening session for those of us that work during the day, and it allows us to participate as well. I grew up in East Meadow in the town of Hempstead, so I had the benefit of being in the town of Hempstead Water District, and our bills were extremely low. Even in later years, compared to other South Shore towns like Merrick, our bills never increased like theirs have. There are approximately 113,000 residents on the South Shore that may have this increase in rates. It affects everyone from the 5 towns through Lynbrook, through Merrick, all the way to Seaford, Massapequa, Levittown. The rate hike that they are proposing, that Liberty is proposing, comes at the height of when water bills will be at their highest, spring and summer, April 2024. Some residents now are paying up to 1,300% more for water when you compare it with the town of Hempstead Water Department customers. I personally know many seniors who could never afford more of an increase in anything. They're on fixed incomes. There are families who would have to decide on what bills they will not be able to pay because of the increase. You know, it seems minimal, but when you add it up over the course of a year and you can't pay your bills as it is, it's not minimal. And it's really just not fair. And I don't think that Liberty has taken the opportunity to send each individual customer a letter stating this is what their bill is going to be, because a lot of people, I don't think, realize it as well. I don't think they've done appropriate notice to each individual customer. But I can say this, by approving this increase, Liberty Water will have every reason to delay the public takeover for years. Without a specific notice to each individual customer, I think Liberty Water is taking advantage of these residents who are already struggling to make ends meet. And their discriminant way of having some communities pay more of an increase than others is simply wrong. We are supposed to have a public takeover of water. There's no reason why there should be a rate increase at this time. I ask that you put a stay on that increase and also to impose a strict timeline for the public water takeover. I thank you very much. Patricia Mayer, Baldwin resident.
Thank you, Ms. Mayer. Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Agatha Nadell.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. May I begin?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I would just like to add thank you again for a second option for being able to make comments in addition to the early afternoon option. Very much appreciated. So I'd like to start by saying, hello, my name is Agatha Nadell, and I'm one of the founders of the movement to municipalize our water on the North Shore. I have fought this private water menace as an individual and as a director of North Shore Concerned Citizens. I'm a lifelong resident of Glen Head, which is part of the Seacliff District of Liberty Utilities. I would like to thank the PSC for providing the opportunity for ratepayers to speak on Liberty's proposed increases, 39% for the Lynbrook District, 42% for Merrick, and 13% for Seacliff, of which I vehemently oppose. Another day, another rate hike request from a private water company. When I was a corporate executive, my boss gave me a plaque that I still have to this day that is the essence of the private water industry. On that plaque are 4 letters, S period, S period, D period, D period. Same blank, different day. As you may remember from prior hearings and testimony, I've done extensive research on the private water industry. I've spoken about many of their tactics and how they price gouge the ratepayers while adding to their limitless greed for themselves and maximizing profit for their shareholders. I absolutely despise these private water charlatans. They have perfected the art of the scam. It is legalized crime, and Liberty is one of the crime families. The private industry is pure, unadulterated evil. The PSC has outlined a timeline for the path to municipalization, of which I am most thankful for. Due to this process, I firmly believe that there should be no further rate hikes. It is unconscionable to me that this 13% rate hike in the Seacliff District comes after an approximate 120% rate hike for the last 4-year rate block in the Seacliff District. It is always the same cut and pasted lame excuse that comes from the companies. Quote, the company maintains that these changes are due to necessary capital improvements that have been made since base rates were last set, as well as recent increases in various costs outside of its control. The company maintains that these changes are required to ensure that it can continue to deliver safe, adequate, and reliable water service. Never ever do they say affordable in their main statements, because that would be disinformation. They know that they can never compete with the public water providers' rates, and they have no competition. They are a legalized monopoly. Further, let's not forget about the guaranteed 9.75% baseline profit added to every project and the exorbitant salaries and benefits packages of their executives. We, the ratepayers, pay for everything. According to Newsday's May 14, 2023 article on this proposed rate hike, it mentions the increase is partly necessary to recover the costs of 17 new local jobs in their Merrick office. Do we really need 17 customer service reps to answer the phones telling the person the reason their bill is high is due to a leak? The majority of the bills are ridiculously high, not due to a leak, but to their considerably higher, narrowly tiered rate structure, their taxes, surcharges, and profit added into these bills. My last bill had $90.55 in, quote, total other charges, which is 40% of the total bill. I pay 5 times more for water annually than neighbors down the block with affordable public water. They can use more than me and still pay substantially less. The difference is their rates are substantially lower, their tiers between the rates are wider, and they do not have the assortment of taxes, surcharges, and profit added into their bills. This is absolute lunacy. I'd like to further add that what are the salaries and benefit packages for these 17 customer service reps? What are they doing all day besides answering the phones? They certainly aren't doing the billing since my payment is sent out of state. The bigger issue here is Liberty deducting from our rates, from their rate base, the cost we pay for the central customer service office somewhere in the United States? Or are we now paying for 2 customer service operations, which I think, quite frankly, is overkill? I must say that I'm amused by the softer approach in Liberty's marketing strategy. Liberty ran a full-page ad in the April 13, 2023 edition of our local paper, the beloved Herald. The colored border, font, heart logo, and tone were an obvious effort to differentiate themselves from their evil cousin, New York American Water. However, an old dog never changes its spots, and nor does the private water industry. This is the first time I saw the word, quote, affordable, end quote, used, and they focused it on 2 key points to achieve that goal. 1, the reduction in the special franchise tax. This issue is water under the bridge. It was dealt with on 2 consecutive years, several years ago, and the politicians squashed the idea. 2, water infrastructure grants and low interest loans. Do they really realistically think that they can change state law, and how many years is that going to take? It seems that Senator Kirsten Gillibrand did not get Liberty's email on that issue, because to quote from a July 2023 Newsday article on a bill that is proposed by her, it would authorize $200 million per year in grants to assist publicly, I repeat, publicly owned utilities to implement pre-treatment programs and other programs to combat PFAS contamination from 2024 to 2028. And in addition, apparently, Governor Kathy Hochul didn't receive their email either, because to quote from the May 2023 Newsday article, New York is committed to providing communities with the resources needed to upgrade water systems and improve water quality. We are continuing our nation-leading clean water investments with $500 million for clean water infrastructure in this year's budget. Nowhere in either of these articles or any other water articles I have seen from New York State or the feds say anything about private water companies being eligible for grants and low-cost loans as public water providers are. Even if these two lofty goals were accomplished, our bills would still not be in line with those who receive affordable public water, due again to the intrinsically higher narrowly tiered rates, surcharges for capital improvements, and that guaranteed profit. The private water business model is severely flawed against the ratepayer. It is cost plus, and cost plus everything. These companies overspend to acquire systems to build up their portfolio to further leverage their assets. It is one big game to them with constant swapping, and the ratepayers are the pawns. By the way, how many of Liberty's employees are now were employees from New York American Water? Many people would say this entire private water sham is arguably unconstitutional. I say it is unconstitutional. Where is the private water ratepayers' equity? Thank God for all our state legislators who finally got the legislation passed and signed by the governor for the authorities on the North and South Shores, and thanks to the Massapequa Water District for getting ahead of the curve on municipalization. Because the reason we are all here today, again, is that our government at every level miserably failed us so many years ago. Even today at the federal level, there are billions of dollars sent to Ukraine with the snap of a finger, yet they can't find billions to put into severely aging water infrastructure and municipalize every community in this country that is in this private water prison. This is the United States of America. It is not a third world country. Real dollar amounts for water on the federal level have been declining for decades. What we need in terms of billions of dollars is not what we get. And on the local level, I will say that if I was a politician, I would ban water privatization, not only in Nassau County, but in the entire New York State. Water is a basic requirement to life and should always be in the public's trust. The Public Service Commission was created to protect the interests of the public. It is not the Private Service Commission. I implore you to not grant these rate hikes as a show of continued support in our efforts to municipalize our water. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Barbara Hafner.
Hafner, I am a resident of West Hempstead, which is a relatively small district in on the South Shore. When Liberty first took over for New York Water and I got my first bill, I was in shock. It was over, oh my God, it had to be over $500. I have all my bills somewhere. And I immediately called Liberty Water to find out what was happening. And they sent a representative to check out my water, and they put in a new water meter. Great. And the person who came to my house looked around, didn't see anything. He said, but you know, make sure your sprinkler system is working, make sure you don't have any leaks in your plumbing. And so I immediately called the sprinkler system company. I called my plumber and made sure there were no leaks of any kind on my property. There were none. As I stated, West Hempstead is pretty small. We have a public water called West Hempstead Water, where my good friend who lives a couple blocks away She just texted me her brand new bill for May 2nd through August 4th for $100.37 for her public water bill. My bill just came this week, and I owe them for this month $142. I do not overwater. I do my laundry, sparingly. And bottom line, as the speaker before me, who was quite on target and articulate, stated, this is a private company. It's making lots of money on our backs. I am a senior citizen who's on a fixed income. I cannot afford to have these increases and not have anyone look over them and say, what is going on? This is private company. Any private company is going to look to make money, and they're making it on the backs of people who use water. Water is a resource that we air and water. Are we going to have a private air company next? This private water company needs to be dissolved. I know from myself and my neighbors who have Liberty, they are attending community town hall meetings to bring it to the attention of our elected officials that they need to figure out what is next in order to take over this private company and make it public. This private Liberty Water not only oversees water throughout this country, they oversee gas, they oversee electric. So this is a major company that's looking to make major bucks on the residents of Long Island. So whatever we need to do to stop, first of all, these increases while these cases are in progress, we need to do that. And whatever we need to get rid of private water companies and make them all public, that needs to happen. Because unless you're telling me that the water is coming from the fountain of youth, I don't want to pay another cent more than what my friends and neighbors are paying for their public water. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Bill Pavone.
Mr. Pavoni,
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for this evening. I appreciate the ability to speak before you. This is Bill Pavone. I am a Seaford resident in the Merrick District. I also volunteer with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation's Restoration Advisory Board regarding the Grumman plume. So I'm acutely aware of the expenses that occur in providing water, clean water, drinking water. An increase, as is listed currently for my area, is unconscionable. A marginal increase, normal. Cost of living increase, we could deal with that. It's definitely not acceptable, but we can deal with it. 20, 30, 40% increases, it's kind of ridiculous. So I implore the board, reject this. This is way beyond what anything that the residents have been promised over the many, many years that we've been dealing with Aqua Water, New York Water, and now Liberty. And we need public water. I'm familiar with the Bethpage Water District, the Massapequa Water District, the commissioners. They're all on the plume team. And having Liberty not attend the Restoration Advisory Board meetings, maybe once or twice, they're part of the problem. We need to eliminate them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Helene Manas.
Ms. Minot, oh, hold on. Good evening, is this Helene Minot?
Hi, you can hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, well, as you said, my name is Helene Manis. I'm a resident of Merrick, and I went to a meeting that talked about the trying to buy the Liberty Mutual so that we could take over and make it a public water area. we are in the process of offering Liberty Mutual, according to what the board said, Liberty Water, I'm sorry, so that we can finally have public water like 80% of the town of Hempstead. If you don't allow them any rate increase, they are more likely to accept our offer because they'll make less profits. You are supposed to be looking out for our interests, and I would say that denying them the rate increase will not only give us a better chance of going public, but also our bills won't go up by 42%. Thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Kay Parker.
Evening, is this Kay Parker?
No, this is Helene Manis again.
Okay, sorry. Ms. Parker, if you are a call-in user, please press *3 on your keypad so that I can identify you and unmute you so you can make your statement. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on and we'll come back to Kay Parker. Our next speaker is Nancy Williams.
Ms. Williams, you are unmuted. You may proceed.
I agree with everything that was said before. I am a Merrick resident. My parents are a Baldwin resident. I had an experience with Liberty this past weekend where there was a low water pressure issue in the area that has been ongoing. While the phone support was actually extremely helpful in scheduling an appointment for this Saturday, the very next day, the support we received was less than stellar. The technician who came out actually blamed the community that is complaining for the actual problems. He resorted to saying that summer usage, sprinkler systems, swimming pools, and so on and so forth are to blame. I do understand that the pressure will be lower somewhat at those times. Regarding the rate increase, it's absurd considering the customer service and the rectifying of the issues is null and void. The gentleman actually, he spoke about another issue that he was at right before our home, where residents in North Belmont off Jerusalem Avenue cannot even flush their toilets. His solution was that they should wake up later, that everyone is waking up earlier for back to school and for work schedules. The phone technician had alluded to the fact of a low well in the area, and there was an issue with that starting about 3 to 4 weeks ago. The technician at my house dismissed that and said that that wouldn't have been an issue or the cause of it. He threw the blame onto elected officials, saying that your elected officials would be the ones who could patrol water conservation use, where we used to do every other day. You water at a certain time, you water for a certain amount of time. He said that Liberty cannot police that. They can actually help elected officials police that. But I think the bigger issue is they are passing the buck as far as fixing the problem. So waking up later is not an option for people who go to work at a certain time. So I agree with everything that was said. Thank you for the opportunity, but as a customer, it is ridiculous customer service that does not warrant an increase whatsoever.
Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you. Our next speaker is Fred Harrison.
Good evening, Mr. Harrison. You've been unmuted. You may proceed.
Yes? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Harrison.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Fred Harrison. I live in Merrick, and I'm a Liberty ratepayer. I am also representing Long Island Food and Water Watch at these hearings. We support David Denenberg and Claudia Barecki's call for the Commission to suspend this hearing. Mr. Denenberg and Ms. Barecki have done all Liberty ratepayers a great service by speaking out on this issue. They are doing the kind of ratepayer advocacy that one would hope DPS would be doing. Their testimony in opposition to Liberty's rate increases should give the Commission pause and much food for thought. I thank them for their work. I would like to add an additional element to theirs for your consideration. The Commission, in its own words, is mandated to ensure, quote, affordable water, quote, at just and reasonable rates. I've always understood affordable means reasonably and fairly priced. I double-checked my understanding of the term. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, affordable means not expensive. The Oxford English Dictionary defines affordable as, quote, inexpensive. You can see where I'm going. Because compared to any other water system on Long Island, Liberty Water is very expensive. We've already heard people talk about that. And it's a fact that's crystal clear to ratepayers, even if the water isn't. I hope the Commission shares this long-standing definition of the term affordable. We also know that Liberty's rate request is not reasonable, the other element that the PSC is mandated to consider. Why do I say this? Is it just my opinion? I don't think so. The statements and actions of the New York State Legislature, the governor, the town of Hempstead supervisor, many other elected representatives, and thousands of citizens makes clear that there is agreement that Liberty's water rates are not reasonable. If the PSC finds Liberty's rates reasonable, the commissioners will be standing alone, far outside public sentiment. What metric do we have for determining reasonability? Just like many of the prior speakers, I grew up with municipal water. In fact, most Long Islanders have municipal water at a fraction of the cost. It is not reasonable that water rates less than half a mile away, drawing on the same aquifer, should differ so much in cost. The difference in price may be reasonable for Liberty, but it is not for ratepayers. And it is ratepayers that the PSC was designed to protect. Unfortunately, Liberty's rate request is no surprise to ratepayers. Ratepayers understand that Liberty is not simply a water company dedicated to providing customers with affordable water at a reasonable price. They are at core, as has been mentioned already, an investment opportunity for shareholders. Algonquin, Liberty's parent company, reported its profits increased 6% last year, totaling $475 million. Compare that to a general 18% decline in stock market indexes. That tells the whole story to ratepayers. One doesn't have to dig into their filings about water meter installations or arrears or return on investment to understand the situation. First and foremost, Liberty is designed to be a money-making machine at the expense of its ratepayers. We've heard and we know already tonight, local governments are acting to municipalize the water districts purchased by Liberty. The Commission should recognize the intent of the New York State Legislature and Governor in approving legislation to this end. It should recognize and defer to the steps in the process designed to bring about affordable and reasonably priced water. Let's be clear. Liberty and its goals stands alone and in opposition to the will of elected leaders and citizens. The members of Food and Water Watch asked the Commission to suspend any new rate base and revenue increase until this matter is settled. Liberty gambled when it bought the company. They are relying on you to make their investment play a success. Don't let them get away with it on your watch. The public is counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. Our next speaker is Marjorie Harrison.
My name is Marjorie Harrison. I live in Merrick. I also grew up on the South Shore of Long Island, where my family was served by a public water system. I want to thank the people who have spoken here for the hard work and thought and preparation that people have put in to put forward the public's case. And ironically, here we are speaking at the Public Service Commission. And it seems to me that given the fact that there's been legislation passed on this matter, legislation that the governor signed, and that there's such a consensus that we need to move forward with the municipalization of water here on the South Shore, that this proceeding be suspended as was recommended by two Merrick patriots, people who really work hard for the public interest, Claudia Barecki and David Denenberg, and so many others. So please suspend this hearing and do something to show the public that government really can work, that once there's a legislative intent, the branches of government get together to make sure that the public interest is served and expeditiously. The Public Service Commission has the power and the responsibility to do that, and I hope that you will act upon that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is David Denenberg.
Good evening. This is Claudia Barecki. Is David Denenberg with you?
No, he's not. He spoke earlier
Okay.
today, but I will speak if allowed.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I would just like to reiterate what I spoke about earlier. And I'd like to thank Fred Harrison, Marjorie Harrison, Helene Manis, Barbara Hafner, Pat, Mayor, and Agatha Liddell for all joining us in our request for the Public Service Commission to suspend the rate case that they're proposing right now due to the fact that there are actual, not hypothetical, actual water authorities that have been established by Governor Hochul and the state representatives to establish the North Shore Water Authority, South Nassau Water Authority, and Massapequa Water Districts to take over Liberty's Long Island operations. So I would just like to not to repeat myself for what we spoke about this afternoon, just basically say the LI Clean Air, Water and Soil has filed 35 pages of testimony with the Department of Public Service in opposition to this rate case based on several issues, too numerous to mention here. And so we are, the Long Island Clean Air, Water and Soil organization will be filing a motion to suspend this rate case pending the results of those mentioned authorities who are currently in active negotiations to take over Long Island, Liberty's Long Island operations. So I'm not going to go through everything that I mentioned this afternoon, but I'm basically reiterating my request to suspend this rate case. Thank you. And David is not here today, this afternoon. He spoke earlier today.
Yes, he did. He spoke earlier this afternoon. Thank you, Ms. Barecki, for your comments. Our next speaker is Kay Parker. Kay Parker.
Ms. Parker, if you are a call-in user, please press *3 on your keyboard so that I can identify and locate you. Thank you.
This is the end of our pre-registered speakers so far. At this time, we will open it up to anyone else who wishes to comment. Please use the raise hand icon if you are connecting via a computer, or *3 if you're on a telephone and you'd like to make a comment.
I have one raised hand, Your Honor. I will unmute her. Rose Pierre.
Great.
Ms. Pierre, you've been unmuted. You may proceed and make your statement. Hello? Oh.
Hi, Ms. Pierre. This is Judge Kersey. Please feel free to proceed.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to know, it wasn't too long ago that Liberty Water raised the rates on the residents. By me, I am by Lakeview, and a lot of the residents are complaining that, you know, for the price of water. And I think it's unfair, and it's like more and more they're raising the price. And I feel that they're taking advantage of us, and it's water. It's water, you know? And instead, I think they should provide their a label, not a label, but rather a printout of their spending to see why they actually need to raise the price for water. And I had something else I wanted to say. It's just like I said before, from a previous meeting I was in, Liberty Water, I see their workers, they're driving SUVs, vehicles that are at least $50,000. Now, I know if they were to get a bundle for these vehicles, however, these vehicles require maintenance, gas, etc., you know, and who's going to pay for that? And so I think and I feel that they are asking for more money because they want to be able to take care of things like that, which to me, you know, they shouldn't have to be able to buy high priced vehicles on the back of the residents that are paying. And just to add on to everything, a couple of months ago, actually 2 months ago, my bill was $270 something. And I asked another neighbor, same thing. And throughout the neighbors that I've conversed with, same thing. And I'm wondering, $270 something and up. And one of my neighbors said to me, "Oh yes, that's usually how much they charge us during the summertime." I mean, to me, that's outrageous. The price is absolutely outrageous, and I think it's unfair that they're coming with some sort of proposal. And not only that, they're coming with this proposal last minute, and I think that's also unfair.
Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for your comments, Ms. Pierre. I again want to ask if Kay Parker is available and wishes to make any comments. And again, I just want to extend one further opportunity to anyone else who wishes to comment. Again, please use the raise hand icon if you're on a computer, or *3 if you're on the telephone. It looks like we have a raised hand from Ms. Hafner.
Yes, you wish me to unmute her? She had spoken before, but I don't have any other raised hands. Yes, Ms. Hafner, you may proceed.
Yes, I'm sitting here with my neighbor, who's also a customer of Liberty Water, and I'm going to let her speak.
Okay. Could she just give us, could you just
Yes,
state
she's
your
going to
name?
identify herself.
Thank you so much.
My name is Dorothy Kozel. I am a resident of West Hempstead. I live on Walker Place. Walker Place is approximately between 10 and 12 houses. I am the fourth house in, and the 3 houses prior to my house are on West Hempstead water. and my house starts Liberty Water for that side of the street. And I'd like to know how they determine, is there a separate water main that goes down the street that designates West Hempstead water and Liberty Water? Am I getting the same water that my neighbor's getting, and they're paying 1/4 of what I'm paying? So I don't understand how the determination is made, where the cutoff is. If it's not at the avenue and it's midway down the street, how is the water different? And why am I paying so much more? And that's my concern.
Ms. Purcell, this isn't a question and answer. This is a time for you to give public comments on the rate proposal. However, what I want to do is I want to refer you to the Public Service Commission's Office of Consumer Services, where you certainly can ask that question and could receive an answer as to, you know, where lines are drawn, et cetera, for water service.
Okay, I've spoken to them several times already concerning Liberty.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for your comments, though. Thank you, we appreciate them. I see the raised hand of Agatha Nadell.
Yes, that was me. I raised the hand.
Were you looking to make further public comments, or?
Yes, I just wanted to address Dorothy's comment, okay, and this applies to the whole problem also that makes it more egregious. With all my contacts that I've had through this water saga, Dorothy, I can tell you that we're all interconnected. We're all interconnected because God forbid there was any tragedy and Liberty could not provide the water. There would be lawsuits up the wazoo on every level of government because the water couldn't be provided. I have a friend who told me it's the flip of a switch, a friend from the fire department, and I've seen the switch. Okay, so it really goes back to years ago.
I'm so sorry. I apologize for interrupting, but this is really a place for public comment with respect to that.
Let me just say that we are all interconnected, okay? And that is a fact.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay.
I'm going to ask one more time if Kay Parker is available. Okay, I want to remind members of the public that they may submit public comments throughout these proceedings by the other means described earlier and in the notice of public statement hearing issued on August 23rd, 2023. Judge Leakakes and I want to thank the commenters for their participation. We want to thank all of you for your participation. We also want to thank our Consumer Services Office for administering this session and our court reporter. The hearing is concluded and we are off the record.
Judge, before we go off the record, Ms. Barecki has raised her hand again, and I don't see Kay Parker. Shall I call upon her?
Yes, and actually, let me just hold up for one moment. Mr. McLean, we're going to go back on the record for just a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Barecki, you may proceed.
I just want to make a short statement that LI Clean Air, Water and Soil, as parties to this proceeding, will be filing a motion to ask the Public Service Commission to suspend the rate case. I just wanted to make an official statement on the record. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Barecki. Thank you. Again, this hearing is concluded and we are off the record.
We are off the record, John.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks.